very happy to have with me today Rhea Blanken, FASAE, who's the president of Results Technology. For over 30 years, Rhea has been creating unique events and opportunities for executives to experience key moments of self-reflection as they explore how best to impact and influence what really matters. Rhea, you certainly have influenced me over the years in terms of think about what really matters, and it's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Well, thank you for the invitation.
We believe here on Association Rockstars that everyone, and especially our rock stars, have some place of amazing skill set experience that they bring to the table, your superpower. So, what is one of your many superpowers?
My children and my husband reference this one all the time, which is listening in between the lines. I can hear what you're not even saying. And if you want to know the name of my superhero,
yes,
I was told years ago that my persona is Peter Pan.
I love that.
And I
love
agree.
That. Well, happy thoughts that let you fly. Absolutely. That definitely happens in conversations with you. I'm curious just to start. Of course, your journey clearly in the association landscape has been more than a year or two. and just reflecting on it, as you look at the journey you've walked along the way, is there a point that comes to mind where you're like, this realm, right, this profession of working with association executives and with nonprofit organizations, that something clicked and you're like, this is home, like this is a professional home for me?
I'd say there's two. One, when I was, oddly enough, 14, it was my first volunteer position. And I saw that we didn't use that word, we didn't necessarily have that word, but I was volunteering through middle school and high school, and I really loved it. But I also noticed that while I gravitated to it and enjoyed it, my peers were not, there was a comfort level I had, they did not. And there was a development that I saw was occurring for me that I didn't notice over there out of the experience with them. Not bad or good, it's just I noticed something was different. And then early in my adult life, I did a lot of active, what would you call it now? I was a community activist. So again, there was just a lot of volunteering.
Yeah.
And I began to see that this is a great place for people to be developed. And they could be like a gymnasium. You want to learn better communication, go work out on that piece of equipment. You want to time management, go work over on that piece of equipment. And then when I when I went into the work world here in Washington, I volunteered a lot with the company I was working for. And I noticed it again. It's like, wait a second. I'm working inside of this association. I'm volunteering inside of this association, but so much is being wasted. Hence, and the CEO of the association I was mostly volunteering for kept asking me to go on staff, and I'm thinking, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to work. It's not my personality.
Yeah.
And so we came up with a way that I could start my consulting business, and then I started developing what is now my company and training and development for staff and boards and whatever. It's a great place to develop yourself. So they were this very young, and then later in life, 35 years ago, it's just associations are the backbone of this country.
Yeah.
It was associated, one last thing, associations were formed a particular way, which is they're not guilds. You enter as an equal. Now you can accelerate yourself, but you enter as an equal. And I thought, well, isn't that wonderful? And you can go learn things. So those were the moments that I went, oh, I think I want to do this. And
we have a shared passion. I very much feel like the associations are the backbone of not just industries or professionals' journeys, but really, therefore, their communities and societies.
Yeah,
and that's why I have a passion too.
Yeah.
Now, knowing that like your journey has been over the course of a number of decades, I'd be very interested in hearing you like articulate why do you think we need associations? They're our backbone, but like, how do you explain that? Like when you talk to friends and family that like don't eat, breathe, talk the language of us.
Yeah.
How do you frame it?
Well, in the beginning, my friends and family went, "You do what? You work with who?"
My 7-year-olds say the same thing to me now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, I personally dislike the phrase not for profit or nonprofit. Drucker and I are in agreement there. Peter Drucker and I are in agreement. It is, it's a business. It is a business, but it's a particular business where your stakeholders are your members and your profit gets plowed back in.
Yeah.
And so one of the phrases I used to say, I could still say, is associations have more knowledge available to the masses, post-baccalaureate knowledge available to the masses than all the colleges and universities. Now that was, you could have said that before, you could probably still say it now. We set rules and regulations. I've worked with associations, trade associations, that they saw problems. They knew there were problems in their industry. They went at it full bore. They put rules and regs in place before the government had to, and there were better rules and regs than the government probably would have.
Sure.
So it's a partner to government. It's a partner to the public need. It's more, now it has its good and bad, so I'm not an idiot here, but it provides for the welfare at its best, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And do you see, particularly in the past few years, but as you go forward, knowing that that is sort of the heart and soul of why our country, the global society needs associations, from the work that you do partnering with all these different organizations, do you have a lens into the type of leaders that you think that organizations need? I mean, you are so creative. I remember one of the first times like we interacted was at a Great Ideas where you had, right, they gave you space to design the room and you had all these stations that were like learning stations, but were really like creative stations, right?
Right.
I'm very interested in like what you see, like that as part of like who you are. Like where do you see that reflected in the leadership like of needs for organizations?
Well, let me go back to that. So it's been double-digit years, like before Great Ideas was Great Ideas, there was a convening, an event before that one, and I started then. I did my first creativity room then, and I've been doing it for many years for organizations outside of the U.S. and inside the U.S.
Yeah.
And I put that together for a reason, which was executives, not just CEOs, but if you consider yourself a leader, whatever level you are, you need time to think. You need time to undistracted without having to write words out or communicate to somebody, again, words. You need time to think. And the creativity room is a way where I give you opportunities to play, and through play, you think and problem solve and create new stuff. And it was a physical environment. So that's why that was created, and it's still valid, because what we know is executives need specially designed, reserved, keep it sacred, think time. We're not giving ourselves enough of that. Executives are not giving ourselves enough of that. Even before this pandemic, we have not been giving ourselves enough of that. Every executive I coach, I say, get it on your calendar. You must have time. So what I'm seeing before and seeing now is, yes, some CEOs embrace that wonderfully, and thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And there's still a big part of the population that does not. It's like, oh, I don't need that. Well, excuse me. Yes, you do. Yes, you need sleep. You need think time. So was it there at the beginning of my career that it was needed? Yeah. Is it still needed? Yeah. Some things haven't changed enough for me.
Yeah.
That's one. But here's what I love is younger people such as yourself and people younger than you, men and women, are coming up through the ranks, and they understand this. They understand that they have to bring that open mind, that curious mind, that inquiry, that creativity. You don't get to innovation. You don't just launch into innovation. You have to be in a creative space, in a creative sense of a state of mind. So people such as yourself and the younger ager groups, you're doing that.
Yeah.
Us older, I could use a word, I won't, are a little stuck. Not all,
Sure.
but enough. It's like, come on, men and women. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, boys and girls. Play. A little more play would be good.
Well, I think, you know, the idea that you're expressing, right, that the idea of taking time to step back and reflect, right? And so it feels like it's so much of the culture that if there's an empty slot on your calendar, it feels like wasted time.
Right.
Which is not correct, you know, and I
Not
think
correct.
that's true of our leaders, certainly. That's true of our staff. But I also think that's also true of organizations. Like, where do organizations craft time to like step back and reflect before they make the next decision and do the next piece of work? And so I think whatever, like there's some societal norm there that you have to fill your time.
Right.
And I think that's a brilliant piece of insight from you in terms of like filling the time.
And it
Just
doesn't
on
take,
calendar.
and it's not a lot. You don't have to take a lot of time. I want to be very clear about this. You can
Yeah.
have meetings, even virtual now,
Mm.
where 15 minutes, 10 minutes in on the agenda, there can be versions of that. I travel with a set of Tinker Toys. Literally, I travel with a set of Tinker Toys.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, it looks funny when it's going through airport security, but anyhow. And what I tend to do, what I love doing, is you take different groups, doesn't matter, individuals or groups, and you ask them to, in Tinker Toys, model the organization. You don't have to explain it, just model it. Use all these people, do whatever you want. You got so many minutes, and then, so everybody does theirs, every department, and then you put it together and you say, now look at what we have. Can you see how there might be some differences of opinion, some different points of view in how we see this without having to talk about it? You get to see it in no time at all. It's instantaneous. Well, it's instantaneous that they can see it and go, okay, now how do we want to bring all these parts together? It's not like I've got the answer. I'm interested in giving you a space to see and think.
You know, I love that example. I love it. I love like the visceral like picture, like they're forming together, right? It's a co-creative experience.
Yep.
You know, I'm thinking about, you know, not just next gen from an age perspective, but you know, part of what we're trying to do with this is to recognize those that are rock stars and try to provide some path, inspiration, guide for those who hopefully we want to see continue to aspire to be rock stars. I mean, I continue to aspire to be one. You know, this creative mental place that you bring, like this creative possibility, where have you seen in any of those, whether you've mentored them or met them, right? What are indicators of those that like have the creative path that's going to help lead us to where we need to go?
My answer is going to sound very egotistical, and I don't mean for it to. But
I just acknowledged your rock star status because you were creative space. So it's just reflecting what I said. You're fine.
Well, I was like, how do we define a rock star? But I've been told by others that there isn't, how do I say this nicely? They haven't seen another what I do. Now, there's versions, and I'm very clear, and I'm thrilled about it, that I see versions of what I've done out there. And I don't want to say copy, I want to say versions of it. It's like, oh, I love that. Well, I'm going to go try that. Please do. Oh, please do. But if there's another one of me out there, please call me up. Seriously, I'd love to talk to you. But I've been told, quite honestly, it's how my brain's wired. And it's just what I do. It's just, I love that others are doing parts of it.
Yeah. So I'm wondering from your clear level of mastery of taking play as a space of creation, right? And using that as a place of possibility and of future building, whether or not people and the leaders we need of tomorrow come to it from a place of mastery. Any thoughts like where they should start? Like what does it look like if someone's going to embrace your philosophy and not try to like copy paste Rhea onto themselves, because that's who, I wish we would have had a world full of yous. I know that's
Oh,
not
thank you.
possible.
A little scary, by the way.
Where would they start? Or like, what would you hope if you had a group of 20 association professionals, executives, or partners with you, and they're going to be like inspired by the model you've set about how you have led in this field, that they would walk away and start doing something or talking about something? What would you want that to be?
Well, a place I would want them to start, the easiest place I would want them to start is remember a favorite game or toy that they, as a kid, and it could be a teenager, but some favorite game or toy, or even activity, and go to that, literally go to that and play it, but play it and play it. Now you're going to play it as an adult. Then you go play it again with no preconceived notions. And then you go play it again without talking about it. You have to I believe, you have to immerse yourself in that activity. And for heaven's sakes, go to something you're already comfortable with. It could be cooking for that matter. I do cooking.
Sure.
So I've used cooking as a portal for that. Any activity that has you out of your linguistic delivery and in your physical experience, your brain then starts to play. I mean, Einstein did it all the time. It's not original to me. And so what you learn to do is to take anything that gives you pleasure, doesn't require you explaining it. I'm doing too much explaining right here. And just go practice playing. From there, it'll lead you different places. And quite honestly, any kid's toy, any kid's game will lead you there.
It's an equal opportunity place for entry.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
There's no rules.
Well, I like that certainly. I think that's why I also enjoy cooking very much. I find it to be a creative expression. It's like a place you don't want to see me draw, but for an artistic expression, cooking, that I like to do. But I find I like to cook more than bake because there's less rules. I can more play, right? Than have to follow exact amounts.
Baking is all rules. Baking is all rules.
I appreciate the output of it, but yes.
Me too. But that's a great place to go.
You know, I know our time's wrapping up. I just want to ask, if I can, one more question, which is, you know, both of us, we've had many conversations about how much we care about this industry, how much we think it's important. And, you know, as you look to what you hope to see in the association landscape of 10, 20, 30 years down the line, you know, from your own perspective, what do you think are some indicators or descriptors of like the future association rock stars we need? Like, what do you hope to see, right, in those that we want to be rocking and rolling in the space, that we want to be engaged in leading us to the future that we need?
30 years out, I won't go. 20 years out, I won't go.
Yes,
10 years out, I'll go. 10 years out, I'll go.
Okay.
Diversity of every version possible is necessary. We have to see ourselves connected. We have to see ourselves as a serious network of conversations. And the best version of that, the richest version of that, is serious diversity. And that word's just been used so much, but age, but you know what I mean. Literally every slice and dice of that. When that seriously flips, when we're not having to talk, when we're not having to talk about getting diversity present, we're walking through the door of that future. That's where I'd be looking. And we got a ways to go. We do.
We do, but we are better for the journey with you helping lead us on it. And I appreciate you joining us today, as well as you continuing to provide inspiration to all of us and to me. So thank you, Rhea.
Thank you. Thanks for asking.
And I want to give a shout out for behind the scenes to Amy Hager, who's been engaging with you on the comments and helping to produce Association Rockstars. And thank you to all of you who've listened in today. Feel free to post any questions or comments so we continue to build successes together until our next conversation. Association Rock On.